Thank you to our witnesses for being here today and to our chair and ranking member for holding this hearing. Dr. Renshaw, recent research published by Caltech and UC Riverside looks at the fact that AI's environmental footprint can be disproportionately higher in certain regions and raises questions about how we should fairly balance AI's rapid expansion with its regional environmental impact. Can you discuss how AI's environmental impacts can vary by region and how and should Congress consider addressing potential environmental inequities posed by AI's infrastructure?
So that is a very deep question, so we'll only scratch the surface on that today, but certainly there are disproportionate impacts, especially on underprivileged communities, because they're often sited in less desirable areas that may be close to power generation facilities that may be more higher polluting or otherwise. And so we often look at the benefits of AI, but this is looking at kind of what is the flip side. So looking at the water use, the energy use, are all things that we need to take into account. I would say on the positive side, as we continue forward on the path of research and development of these technologies to utilize advanced chips, more performant model architectures, domain-specific models, and advanced computing modalities such as neuromorphic and quantum computing, I think we can blunt some of that energy demand from data centers. And we also have to remember on the environmental side that while the largest impacts are in the immediate area, certainly pollution can expand to greater regional areas, and pollution can, of course, cross cities and state lines. So we have to be cognizant that it affects all of us.
Thank you for sharing that insight. Ms. Barone, I'm proud that our AI Task Force report from last Congress dedicates an entire chapter to discussing AI's energy and environmental impacts. As I've mentioned before, I'm concerned about how the environmental demands like water and local land resources needed to support AI's rapid arrival are affecting prior and recent commitments of our nation's leading technology firms to become net zero emissions by the year 2030. As we move into the second half of this decade and approach 2030, how do you assess the current capabilities of our nation's clean energy infrastructure to support AI's continuing expansion today? And what should technology firms and Congress be doing now to ensure that AI technology development into the future is sustainable? I think you touched on a bit of that earlier.
I did, but I appreciate that question. And in response as well to your last question, I guess I would say two things. One is, we've talked about this notion of co-location. Our plants tend to be very remote from population centers, and they have enormous land buffers. In most cases, we have thousands of acres of land around the plant, and people don't even know that the plants are there. But that does make it an ideal location for locating a data center, which likely may cause some of the same concerns in that people don't usually want to look at that all day long or hear it in some cases. But to your exact question, addressing that land use issue by co-locating with an existing plant and addressing the water issue as well. As you may know, we have to create cooling lakes or cooling ponds to have water to cool our reactor. And in some cases, it may be the case that the data center can use some of the water that we have already created for use by the plant. Sort of discharge water that we use for cooling, they can also use for cooling. So there will be no impact on the local community for the water side as well. And then just to the last question on the potential for using AI to help with clean energy infrastructure development. One example I can give you is, in addition to our nuclear reactors, we own the largest hydro dam east of the Mississippi at the Conowingo up on the Susquehanna. And we also own a pumped storage facility that's right nearby. And these two facilities both use the water from the river to create electricity. But using AI, we've been able to optimize the use of the water in a way that we haven't been before, that allows us to make 250,000 more megawatt hours from that plant, which is enough to power 25,000 homes. That's more renewable energy we didn't have before we used this technology. So small example, but we're hoping those kinds of things we can come back to you with even more impactful examples in the future.
Thank you. And my final question to Dr. Renshaw. As a fellow North Carolinian, you know my district is a leader in researching and developing emerging technologies like quantum and AI. What opportunities are there in the upcoming reauthorization of both the National Quantum Initiative Act and the National AI Act of 2020 to advance U.S. leadership at the intersection of technologies like quantum and AI?
Yeah, so I would say that AI and quantum are two of the most exciting technologies today. They're both exponentially growing technologies. AI is one that everyone in this room and pretty much around the world is aware of. Quantum is still a little bit under the radar, but it is growing very rapidly and very quickly. Certainly in the Research Triangle area of North Carolina, here in the DC area, there are top-notch universities as well as many other areas around the country and around the world. So I would expect that as we continue to advance research and development in the areas and then move to practical applications, we'll start to see not only the benefits of AI and the benefits of quantum, but the benefits of merging these two technologies together for both more performant systems, tools, and models, as well as more energy efficient systems, tools, and models.
Thank you. That's my time. Thanks, Mr. Chair.